I'm Mark Bixler, and you're listening to Hear It Now on With God All's Possible Internet Radio, and being joined by Eric Fee, and he is a little bit, I'll tell you a little bit about Eric, but I'm going to let him kind of talk about himself. But I know Eric, I go way back to my days at working at the old WDRK in Greenville, Ohio, and I know his dad very well, Herschel Fee Sr. But Eric is from Darke County in Ohio, Greenville, Ohio to be exact, and he is now the owner of Tribute Funeral Homes in Greenville, which used to be Storch Braun in New Madison, and also Oliver and then Oliver Floyd Funeral Home in Greenville, Ohio. And Eric, we want to say welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me on here.
Now, tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, and then we'll get into why I wanted to talk to you, because there's a lot happening in Darke County right now in regard to COVID-19, and a lot of businesses, a lot of churches kind of working together to make sure people, one, are fed and taken care of at this point.
Oh yeah. It's been a real great journey, actually, bringing the community together. So I'll tell you a little bit about myself, and I'll just let you ask away and share with what you want. Of course, I own a couple funeral homes there in Darke County. I have two kids, 20-year-old and an 18-year-old. Turns 18 next week. Which seems crazy because I think I was younger than that when we worked together. So I think I was 14 when we started working together. But so I've lived there most of my life since about 78. And see what else. Pastored for a while with my father at Lighthouse Christian Center. I got into this business about 16 years ago. Bought my first funeral home about 14 years ago, and then the second one about 5 years ago, and hopefully more on the way. And we're really involved in the community, which is where this comes about. Not really me, but the whole community. I just kind of started by putting a semi-trailer in my parking lot. I'm trying to think when the first one we started helping. It was before Gatlinburg. A lot of tornado victims across the United States, and fire victims and things like that. So just saw how great it was. I just thought, hey, I'll put something out there, see what kind of response we get. And first time we did, they filled a semi-trailer full, top to bottom, front to back, with food and supplies. So now when something happens, they kind of call me and ask me if I'm going to do anything. So
well, and a year ago, the Miami Valley, the Dayton, Ohio area was reeling from a group of tornadoes that ripped through the area. And you guys, you mentioned Gatlinburg and some of the other sites around the country that were affected by tornadoes. But last year was, I want to say, maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but that may have been one of the first times that you organized helping people within Greenville's in the Miami Valley, so within the Miami Valley. Yeah. And I know that was a big effort, and I know my cousin. My cousin Fellers, and he owns Gilbert Fellers Funeral Home and Kreitzer Funeral Home in Arcanum, and I know he goes to a church in Dayton, and they did a lot during that time period too. And it's just a great effort that you are. I don't want to say, you're right. I mean, you're the man behind everything and help getting it organized, but it's the community that really has stepped forward in much of even a year ago with the tornadoes and helping the victims in the Trotwood area, especially. That was Northridge area, two of the hardest hit areas in the Dayton area.
Oh yeah, and very, very devastated. When I went up there, I couldn't believe just how crazy it was. It was just devastated. I just couldn't believe my eyes for a while. But a lot of need up there. Still to this day, there's still a lot of need up there.
You know, that brings back some memories. I remember watching there was a video that was online, and it was of the tornado as it crossed over I-75 in the Northridge area, and just seeing the devastation it was causing as it was on the ground. Just and I lived in Alabama, and you know, I can remember the first time I gave a tornado warning on the air, and I realized the tornado was right over the house that I lived in.
Oh wow!
And thank heavens it did not touch down. It did touch down, but not on close to the property I lived at. But I can remember my voice cracking a little bit as I was giving that, because it really, it's scary when you see things like that. And I'm going to be honest, watching video is nothing compared to actually seeing the devastation with your own eyes.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's just amazing. I mean, it's just amazing, and then you get to meet the people, and you just feel for them. They've lost everything in a matter of seconds. You know, they own nothing in a matter of seconds, and it just seems like that would be a very eerie place to be.
Now, what we wanted to talk to you about was what's going on right now with COVID-19, and you know, we talked about tragedy and being able to see the tragedies. And with COVID-19, yeah, we can see the tragedy somewhat, but at the same time, this is a disease that is kind of one of those diseases that you can't see, and they're learning more and more about it every day. And that's a good thing and a bad thing. But the good thing that's happening right now in Darke County, and I know it's happening in other communities as well, and God bless them for doing what you're doing as well. But you have organized businesses, churches, and other organizations, and helping, excuse me, and helping senior citizens, especially, making sure that they're taken care of with their needs, and making sure that they are getting the proper nutrition and being fed the way that they should be as well.
Yeah. It all actually started. We had taken a truckload to Nashville because of the tornadoes, and we filled up a semi trailer full of supplies, food, water, things like that. And myself and a few of my friends went down to drop that off and to work a few days, you know, help clearing, you know, roadways, properties, things like that. And I was supposed to be back Thursday for a fundraiser Thursday evening. So I left Thursday morning, and halfway home, almost exactly halfway home, I get a call that is canceled because of the COVID. And so that, you know, I was like, wow, that's crazy. So as soon as about another hour after that, I get a call because they had canceled school for about 3 or 4 weeks. And they're like, there's a lot of these children that rely on these lunches, you know, the free lunch program in Darke County. And are we going to do anything with that? And of course, I hadn't thought about it until then. And, you know, made some calls to the superintendents and things like that. And to our local church, EUM Church, they have a gentleman that works there full time on outreach, Josh Walker and his wife. And talked to him about it, and I was going to call around some restaurants to see if I could just get some help. And I called the Merchant House is the first call I made, and I didn't have to make another one after that. He just kind of took it over. He said, "Yeah." He goes, "Whatever you need, we'll do it." And we ended up feeding out of the church lunch for 2 weeks. These kids that didn't have anything, they could come by and pick out a lunch. We had volunteers putting the lunches together that Chris at the Merchant House would deliver. We put on, I mean, it was so big we couldn't fit it all in the box. So it was a real blessing to us and to these children. And then the government, of course, stepped in and let the schools take over, which was great. So we were just kind of a filler there for 2 weeks. And then at the end of that 2 weeks, it was a hectic 2 weeks, but a rewarding 2 weeks. And at the end of those 2 weeks, someone called me and said, "What about the seniors that are shut in, they're quarantined, they can't get out? What about them?" And of course, I was like, I didn't even think about that. And it was really God speaking, because I had about a 45-minute call about it. And I get a call from an elderly couple in New Madison that I've served through the funeral home, in tears, because not they didn't have the money to get something, they were just scared to get out of their house. So it kind of confirmed what we were getting ready to start. And from then, we just kind of put an ask out to some businesses for donations, individuals for donations. And since then, it's been nonstop. We've had probably over 3,500 meals delivered to these elderly shut-in since the start of all this. So and we've had an abundance of sponsors to donate money, restaurants to make the meals, and volunteers to deliver them. And Josh and his wife they've made it seamless. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. There's a lot more to it, of course, but it just how God just kind of transformed and opened doors and just softened everybody's heart, because like you said before, in the Miami Valley we don't really experience tragedy, so our whole community has been really big givers outside of the area, and just to see them give and give and give inside the community now that we need it is just very humbling. So it's been a great experience so far.
And it kind of makes me stop and think. And I grew up in the Greenville area, just north of Greenville, Woodington, Ohio. And, and I'm sure that this happened even when I was growing up, but moving several times, and this last time to the Canton, Illinois area, just southwest of Peoria, Illinois. But I found here that sometimes it's really kind of odd, but sometimes the ones that really shouldn't be giving do.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We've had people just giving out of their, like you said, they shouldn't be, but they're the first ones to step up and say, "Here, take what you need." So it's humbling.
I think of the woman with the two mites.
Yeah, that comes to my mind every day. That's funny you said that.
Because frankly, they are people that probably should be receiving some of this help, but they don't look at it that way. They want to be able to help others as well. And it's like I tell people, my stepson and some other individuals too, that don't take away somebody's blessing.
Yeah.
And if they're going to be blessed to be able to give to a ministry like this, don't say, "No, you really need this." Allow them to give what they can. But they also have to take in mind that they can't be too prideful, that when they actually do need it, they need to ask as well.
Yeah. And we've seen both of those go on here. That what we've done is a lot of times we've just encouraged people to check on their neighbors, their shut-in elderly neighbors, and then they tell us, and then we'll make that connection. And like you said, they're like, no, we're good, we're all right. Well, this has been 8 weeks now, so if you can't get out, you've got to be running out of something. So it's good to see them finally saying, hey, I do need some help. um, it takes some prodding. That older generation, they're very self-sufficient, and like you said, they love to give and give, but when it comes to receive, it's kind of hard for them. But uh, they they are very humbling to watch them. And our biggest thing is have people look out for their neighbors, and we're hoping this doesn't end after this is all over. We want them to continue to check on their neighbors and continue to see if they're all right, continue to not get bogged down with, like we were before this all started. You can probably attest to this. We kind of get busy in life, and this has kind of slowed us down. One good thing out of this, it slowed us down and made us think of someone other than ourselves. So I think that's a blessing.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. I think there was maybe 1 week that I thought, man, this week is just flying by. I've got a lot going on, and it just kind of flew by. But other than that, that 1 week, you're right. It has been kind of an even keel, I guess, slower than it was. And another point that I think too, and this is church related. I look back and I think God's up to something. Number one.
Oh yeah, I totally agree.
But number two, He's called the church to action. And when I say the church, I'm talking you and I, and you are acting by doing this. But I think of the meme that I've seen since this all started, the devil talking to God that, hey, I closed down all the church buildings. And God said, well, that may be fine and dandy, but I had opened a church in every home.
Exactly.
And He has.
Exactly. Yeah, yes. And it's been awesome to see. I mean, I've talked to some churches that actually 3 of them, pastors of these churches. It's funny because you said that, just popped in my head. I was just on a conference call with a pastor, and he has about a 7,000 member church in Kentucky, and actually was my roommate in college. Mm-hmm. And since they've been quarantined and not able to have church, and everything's been online, he's seen a 20 to 25% growth in the church of new people that may not have been reached before because of this, but they're getting online. They're wanting to, experience God. And I think we're seeing a revival out of what Satan meant for bad. You know what I mean? I think we're seeing people searching out God on the internet, and they're finding these churches. And I think once things open up, they're gonna explode, and we're gonna experience God in a whole new way. So I'm really excited about that.
We did an interview a few weeks ago. I was watching Church of the Highlands in Alabama, and we did an interview with Tim Hurd with Unite 714, which grew out of several churches in the Southeast, including Pastor Hodge, Chris Hodge, who's the senior pastor at Church of the Highlands. And if you haven't had a chance, I want to encourage those listening and watching as well to check out Unite 714. Go to unite714.com. It's a prayer ministry. They give a prayer every Saturday that churches that are involved with this ministry will pray on Sundays, and then people that are involved, individuals and businesses that are involved, will say the prayer every day at 7:14 in the morning and at 7:14 in the evening. But Pastor Hodges, while he was talking, and I'm watching the service the Sunday after Easter, they had 70,000, and I've mentioned this during a couple previous interviews, but they had 70,000 views.
Yeah.
Now, if you calculate, and I'm calculating low because I know I was only one individual watching that particular service, and I did watch on Easter Sunday.
Yeah. How many
that
families?
service. But if you calculate low and figure, say, 3 people in each view, that's over 200,000 people watching your church service. Now, you wouldn't have got that
Yeah,
had the
you
church
wouldn't
building
have got that
been open.
in the pews that day. You're
Yeah.
right.
So people
Yeah.
are watching church services, and there is absolutely no doubt in my mind. And I think God's about, he started something with Easter because I don't know how it was there, but internet in this area on Easter Sunday was very slow.
Oh,
And there's no doubt in my mind it was slow because people were online watching church services.
yeah. Yep, we had the same thing. Yeah.
And but I believe come Pentecost Sunday, this Sunday, things are going to explode.
Oh yeah.
I just think that God is, as I said before, I think he's up to something.
Oh
And
yeah, and I've heard a lot of ministers. I don't know, and you remember Miles, Pastor Miles.
yes.
I know you. Yeah. He just check his Facebook
Oh,
out
absolutely.
yesterday. He had a word for this weekend too, and I see it going on all over the United States and the world. I believe he's up to something. I know he's up to something. Don't believe it. I know he is. That God is up to something, and something exciting for this weekend. So I totally 100% agree with you on that.
And I know Miles has, and several other pastors have been talking about, and I do believe this too. God's offering the church a reset.
Oh yeah, yes,
And
totally agree.
no doubt about that. And you're listening to Hear It Now, and we're talking with Eric Fee, who is the owner at Tribute Funeral Homes in Greenville, Ohio, and New Madison, Ohio. But he's helped organize some means of giving to his community through businesses, churches in the Darke County area. And we want to, God is looking down and smiling as you're doing this. There's no doubt in my mind. He's when you, and you're nowhere near passing, but when you do, I know confidently God's going to say, "Well done, good and faithful servant."
Oh, I hope so. I really do. I tell you what, I think it's just, I just think it's neat to see God's people come together and serve. I mean, which is what, like you said, it's a reset. This is what we're supposed to be doing all the time, not just during something like this, but all the time. And a couple neat stories for you how God works is I had kind of the transition into the hot meals. I had some friends, business owners, that had a ton of supplies, a warehouse full of supplies, ready to go when I came back to go to Nashville. And as soon as I got back, they stopped taking volunteers and supplies in Nashville because of the COVID. And so they didn't know what to do with all this stuff, all these things. And then, we had a big meeting, and I'm like, call your donators, call the people that donated, and ask them if they mind if that stays here in Darke County. And every one of them was an astounding yes, please keep it here. So that kind of started the, as a business owners, we had Boondocks Concessions, Remedy Plumbing, Suds in the Bucket, that cleaning service. And they had a warehouse full of the stuff that we were able to start delivering to elderly shut-ins. It was toilet paper, from cleaning supplies, from dry good foods, to everything so they didn't have to get out of the house. And so that was neat how God worked that. And then we had a nursing home call us and said, hey, we want to donate 50 meals for the next couple hot meals for the next couple of weeks because they have a chef on duty. And I thought, that's amazing. That's awesome. Well, to this day, their their 2 weeks of 50 meals has transformed into, they've probably made over 1,000 now. They just wanted to keep going and keep going, because people just keep, they feel how good it is and how they're blessed to give, and like you said earlier, and they're finally feeling, God move in their lives because they're giving. And I have stories like that, you know, stories from businesses and businesses and businesses just saying, we're being blessed, we're being blessed, we're being blessed, and they don't want to stop giving. So it's really neat to see.
Yeah, and where all are some of the places that the organization or the people that you're involved with, and as you mentioned, I know is involved. You mentioned the restaurant, and I've ate there, and I just had a mental block. Merchant
Merchant
House,
house,
yeah.
yeah,
But where all are you? I know senior citizens, and I know there's individuals that
yeah,
you're helping, that you're delivering meals to, that live on their own. But are you delivering to, say, some senior places that seniors live in, apartment complexes and that type of thing too?
oh yeah, oh yes. We have some of our biggest delivery areas are in, like Fox Run is a big one around here. They can still live on their own, but it's individual apartments. It's behind Walmart. You probably have seen it back there. Uh, and I like one of our biggest, you know, delivery areas is right there. And when we go there, it's really neat to see uh, that they don't just like the meals; they like to see, just the communication, to talk to
Yeah.
somebody when you deliver them. They're waiting on you when you get there. Not really for the, they're waiting for the food, but more for seeing a smiling face coming and just communicating with them, talking with them, because as well I do a lot of times they get lonely too. So
Absolutely.
that's been a big part of it too. So it is. It's we're just extending God's hands, not just the food, but His love through just being there for them, talking with them, praying with them if they need it. If they would like that. So it's turned into a bigger movement than we would ever expected. But like you said earlier, you can't outgive God. So everything we've done, we've got back tenfold or more. So
We
it's just awesome.
we partner with a organization called Kingdom Life Peoria, and it's about kingdom culture. And one thing they did a couple weeks ago was they offered an online concert, and it was
Cool.
musicians from this area um, that most of them were secular musicians, but and I'm on the executive board for the Kingdom Life Peoria, and my comment to them was, this is absolutely fantastic, because you're reaching out to a community, the musical community, that a majority of those in the secular field don't believe in God.
Exactly.
But
Yep.
yet we are, as an organization, we're reaching out to them to help them, because quite frankly, they can't perform because all the bars and restaurants are closed.
Yeah. Exactly.
So this
So
was
they've lost their livelihood.
absolutely, and this was a way that we as individuals in the church and Kingdom Life Peoria and other organizations could be a light to those individuals,
Yep. Exactly.
and to be the feet. I said, to be the feet, the arms, the eyes, the ears, the mouth of God.
Yep.
And how important it was, so that those individuals could see God's love.
Exactly. Yep.
And that's exactly what you are doing, because I'm going to say some of those individuals that you're giving to don't necessarily believe in God.
Yep. You're right. They don't.
And this is a means for what you're doing, showing God's love to those individuals.
Yeah.
And who
And
knows?
it's neat you say that, Art, because and another aspect of that is, yeah, some of the people people we deliver to God, and they're coming to know God. Some of the people delivering the food and serving don't know God either, so they're being able to experience the hands of God and experience what we're all about. And that's drawing. And what reminded me of that is I'm volunteering through this with a gentleman I just became close with that didn't attend church, and now he can't wait because he didn't know this is what it was about. We're showing them what it's supposed to be about, not what you hear in the news or the negative part of what's going on. They're seeing the positive. So I know at least 2 people right now that have come closer to God because of this, just through the serving aspect of it, not the receiving, but the giving aspect of it. So that's kind of neat.
I think God has called his army, as I said before, he's called the church, his army, together.
Yeah.
He's calling them to action, and a lot of people have stepped forward, and there's no doubt about that, and are doing what God has called them to do. And you are one of those. We're talking with Eric Fee from Tribute Funeral Homes in Greenville, Ohio, and and one thing too, if somebody listening to this or watching this, we don't know, a lot of communities, states are beginning to open up a little bit, but we don't know how long it's going to take. But if somebody's listening to this or watching it and they're like, this is a great idea, we should do this in our community, how can they reach you to find out what they need to do?
Yeah, I could walk them through. I mean, Josh and Katie have streamlined it so great that it just runs seamlessly, and I'd be able to talk with them. Just call at the office there at 937-548-1133. Ask for me, and I will be more than happy to talk with them and get them started and let them know just every step of the way what to do. Because, like you said, I think this is a movement of God, so it's going to be national. So I really think this is all part of it. So yeah, feel free to call me. I'll be more than honored and happy to talk with them.
And that's kind of what, when I was initially, my first Here It Now was with the executive director of Kingdom Life Peoria, and I'm in the middle of the interview and we're talking about these things, and I said, this could be a national movement, not just Kingdom Life Peoria. This could be something that could become national, kingdom culture and kingdom life, and being what God wants us to be. And I'll be the first to tell you, I do stupid things that I shouldn't do, but
we all do.
Exactly. But my focus, I try to keep my focus on Jesus, and and if I keep my focus on Jesus, then I know confidently that I can weather the storm.
Oh yeah, because I think that's the one misconception. A lot of unchurched people, they think that we should all be perfect, and that's, as well as I do, we mess up all the time, and we're just, like you said, we just keep our eyes on Jesus, so we can at least try better and work at it better and learn from our mistakes, because it's we all live in the same world. It's a sinful world we live in, but we've got to do our best to be the light. And I with you, and I've known you for a long time, I know you've done it too. And you've lived you've held a lot of people up, and as far as you've ministered to them, and you've reached a lot of people more than you probably know, just through these broadcasts, through one-on-ones, through interviews. And it's just really neat to see how you have grown and just became a light. And I think, like you said just a few minutes ago, a lot of times we limit ourselves. We think, oh, it's, this is a nice little ministry. It's a nice little community ministry, not realizing God wants you for a nationwide ministry. He's going to, it may not be you personally, but you're going to, like you just said, someone may be listening to this program and want to do that. So through your obedience, through doing this, these interviews, God's going to use that and grow your ministry. And again, like you said, we're not going to know until we get there.
Exactly. And to God be the glory for that. And
Yeah.
we want to, I know your wife works at EUM Church, and we want to welcome, I listened to this part of the sermon on Sunday. I haven't gotten a chance to listen to all of it, but Pastor Qualls, the new pastor at one of the new pastors at
Yep.
EUM, and he spoke this past Sunday. And at the time you are listening to this or watching it, it was earlier in the week on Tuesday nights at 8 Central Time, 9 Eastern Time. We replay EUM's sermon message.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I didn't know that. That's awesome.
On the air. So that was my wife and I. We have donated a few of those, and EUM is one of those that we decided to donate. And so people can tune in on Tuesday nights at 8 Central, 9 Eastern Time to
That's
listen to
awesome.
the previous week's message, previous Sunday's message. So
Yeah.
Anyway.
I didn't know that. That's amazing. I love that. That's a great. I didn't even realize that.
Yeah,
So I appreciate you doing
we air Decatur Baptist Church in Alabama on Mondays. Tuesday is EUM in Greenville, Ohio. Wednesday night is Wesley United Methodist Church, here in Canton, in Illinois. Thursday night is Northwoods Community Church in Peoria, Illinois. And then Friday night, we air 2 services during the 8 o'clock hour. Friendship Church in Athens, Alabama, and then Friendship Church North in Elkmont, Alabama. They're all part of the Friendship Church ministry, the main campus, and then the North campus. And they're all churches that I've attended in the past. So anyway, we decided to do
even more special. Yeah.
all of those. So
I can't wait to tune in tonight. Then I'll be able to. Yeah, Travis did a great job on Sunday, so it's worth hearing again.
Absolutely. Well, Eric, we appreciate your taking time and chatting with us, and we certainly know that God has his hand on this ministry, and anybody listening and feel like, hey, this is something we could do in our community, feel free to reach out to Eric.
Yep, I'll be more than honored to talk with him, and I do appreciate your time and interviewing. It's just, I appreciate you getting the word out and helping us out. You've always been a big proponent of any ministry that, around here, because you're from around here. So it's really neat to see someone from here just take such a wonderful, just wanting to do something, and you've always really helped us out. So I appreciate that. I appreciate you and your ministry too, Mark.
Well, I know people watching this are probably thinking he's driving. What's he doing? But he's on his way, as we're taping this, he's on his way to see his brother in the Fort Payne, Rainsville, Alabama area, and then on to Florida. So tell Herschel Jr. I said hi, and Deb. And when you talk to your mom and dad, Herschel Sr. and Barb, tell them I said hi as well.
I will, and I know they'll want me to tell you the same thing. They always loved you, and they still do, and I know they think wonderful of you and your family. You guys have always been a part of our family. Of course, we've known each other forever. So, but I appreciate that, and I'll pass that word on, and I hope to talk to you again soon here, Mark.
That sounds good. We've been talking to Herschel Fee of Tribute Funeral Homes in Greenville, Ohio, about what's going on in Darke County in Ohio and Greenville. And I'm Mark Bixler, and this has been Hear It Now.